So the commissioners will resume with the hearing. The Wood Special Use Request, Polson City County Planning Area Highway Commercial Zoning District. So we will begin with the Planning Department's presentation. We will then open it up to commissioner questions. I don't think we'll have any public comment. And then we'll close it to public comment and open it up back to the commissioners for action. So we'll go ahead with the planning department report.
So I'm Abigail Moore and I'm presenting the Wood Special Use Request. So the proposal is Adam and Michelle Wood, who are doing business as Landscape Resources LLC, are requesting a special use approval to use the subject property to operate a lawn sales and service business in the after effect structure on the above referenced property. Commercial property is located within the highway zoning, commercial zoning district of the Polson City County Planning Area of the Polson Development Code. The view from the highway is critical to the city's image. Therefore, any major changes in occupancy or of existing developments in the HCZD require special use approval. Okay. The 1.25 acre property is located on South Commerce Lane and legally described as Parcel B as shown on COS 6060, located within Section 13, Township 22 North and Range 20 West. And multiple community or commercial properties border the subject property to the northwest with South Commerce Lane to the south and Highway 93 to the east. Going to page 2 of the report. Adam and Michelle stated in the narrative submission on attachment number 2 that the after the fact structure is to aid support to the commercial business taking place on the property to the northeast, which is also owned by the applicant. The special use application applies to the new zoning commercial or the new commercial business being approved by the staff as required in the city county zoning regulations. The city county planning board requested clarification on the procedure for getting permits prior to construction. The staff then clarified that a special use permit is required for new commercial uses and a zoning conformance permit is also required prior to construction. After the fact, fees were charged due to these procedures not being followed. For number 4 on page 2, the property is developed with one commercial structure that is after the fact. The lawn sale and service business is currently operating from that structure. No additional construction or additions to the operation is proposed at this time. Turning to page 3. Oh yeah, so number 7 on page 3, traffic circulation is not foreseen to be an issue upon which mitigation is required. Access off and on the highway is South Hills Drive and South Commerce Lane. Number 3 on page 3, number 10, per the performance standards of the HCZD and requirements of Appendix F of the Polson Development Code, a basic landscape buffer, a minimum of 12 feet in width between the development and any other public street or road with at least 4 major trees per 100 linear feet of buffer is required when developing a property. Landscape buffers serve to improve the view of Polson from US Highway 93 and prevent views from being dominated by man-made improvements. With the new after-the-fact structure, the applicant should be required to keep any current vegetation on the property, and the planning staff suggests, as part of the conditions of approval, the applicant is to submit plans to plant additional trees, shrubs, and grasses, a minimum of 12 feet in width in the development and any public street or road. The city county planning board requested clarification on the vegetation plan being required and the required storage modification. The application noted that he would comply. 14. And then number 14 on page 4, The Lake County Environmental Health Department has provided comment stating the project requires a wastewater treatment system permit application that has yet to be submitted. Further approvals are required of Lake County Environmental Health Department. And then continuing number 14, the City County Planning Board requested clarification regarding the comment from Environmental Health and what all the applicants would need to do in order to meet the condition. Planning staff clarified that they cannot comment on environmental health requirements. They had just suggested a condition that the lot be in compliance prior to issuance. The staff clarified that environmental health signed off on all zoning approvals and vice versa. The City County Planning Board requested clarification at what time environmental health would have typically reviewed the application. Planning staff clarified that an application to the board is usually the first step, then reviewed by environmental health and the zoning conformance permit. The two offices review simultaneously. In this case, the changes to the wastewater system have already been made. The City County Planning Board requested clarification on what steps would be taken if the structure and wastewater put in could not be approved. Staff clarified that if no approval could be obtained, enforcement would be required, such as removal. However, staff did not believe that was the case in this situation. Yeah. The City County Planning Board suggests findings could support a recommendation of approval of a special use request to allow the subject property to be used to operate a business as a lawn sales and service as Landscape Resources LLC with the conditions listed on pages 8 and 9. That.
I'm just giving that recommendation.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, that's page.
Oh. And then moving to page 8, I apologize. The City County Planning Board voted 7-0 to recommend approval of this special use request based on the findings and conclusions, application materials, and site conditions, subject to the following conditions and terms. And that concludes the report too.
Thank you. So we'll open it up to commissioner questions and comments.
I don't really have any, so they're using it right now. So there won't be any other construction or anything based on this. Okay.
My question is, why didn't you hire somebody like Jacob to fighting through this process?
So my question, if he was 2 miles further down the road, would he be going through this process?
No, so at Caffrey Road,
So
the zoning district stops.
Probably just may not have known.
Yes, yeah. That was a statement that he made at the City County Planning Board, is that he just wasn't aware. Which should be often, I mean, we see that, especially in city county out in that area. It's not common to think that that area would be zoned.
And the other comments, thank you for page numbers. That's a great help.
I
Thank
tried. It's a lot.
Well, that big investment he made, I think it maybe would have been worth his while to ask a question or two. So on his landscape resource narrative, he said, we use other shop existing water and septic. So they do have water and septic hookups?
Yeah, so that was the discrepancy from, I mean, obviously I can't speak for environmental health, but that was the discrepancy that he was using the septic and wastewater from the other property, and that wasn't, I guess, approved.
He has a lot that's adjacent, and he connected this new building to the adjacent water and septic without approval of environmental health. So that's where the hangup is with environmental health, is you have to have approval if you're gonna do that, because they're gonna look at the capacity of your current system before a new use. And he did not do that. So he has to go through and submit a new application. And, from what I understand from Diana is that the current system does not have the capacity. So he'll have to install a new system. We just made the suggestion that he has to have the approval of environmental health before we actually issue the after the fact. But it sounds like he's starting that process. He mentioned that he has somebody that's kind of working with agents for this.
So he has property adjacent to this one?
He does. So that was some of the confusion. So he does have property that's directly adjacent. And he was currently using it, But when he went to go put this new building on as an added business to support that other one, he just built without realizing that that needed a new permit. So he does already use the other lot that's adjacent for part of his business as well.
So everything there was permitted or he didn't need? permitted
It
for?
sounds like when he built it, which would have been over 10 years ago, that a permit wasn't issued from what we can find. Whether or not, we always hear that he called and they said that no permit was needed. 10 years ago, permits would have been required. What the actual story is there, we don't know. We're not gonna pursue something
Sure.
10 years older for, but no permit is in our system.
So he still has to get all the DEQ boxes checked.
Correct.
Actually, we did speak with Diana. He's working with them right now as well. And then we're also seeing a zoning conformance application for the structure as well. As of today, he's submitting everything that we're asking for. So he's actively working on getting right with us on the structure, so.
So there's no variances involved. It's just an after the fact.
Yes.
Do we have any other commissioner questions or comments?
No, not for me.
Not on.
We'll ask for public comment, but there's no comment here, public here, so we'll close the public comment. So I guess under the findings, on page 4, number 14, is that one of the findings? Or is that just part of the discussion?
That's just the discussion. The findings start on page 6, down there towards the end of
Oh, okay.
the page. The city county planning board did not have any adjustments to the findings or conditions that they recommended.
Okay. So I would entertain a motion on the findings.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we approve findings 1 through 6 as presented.
So we have a motion to accept the findings of fact prepared by planning staff. Do we have a second?
You have a second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we approve the conditions and terms 1 through 15 as presented.
I don't think we had any changes in those.
No.
So do we have a second?
You have a second.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the conditions and terms. Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion, we approve the special use request by Woods. It's Polson City County Planning Area, Highway Commercial Zoning District 8, HZZD.
do we have a second?
You have a second.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the Woods special use request. All in favor of the motion signify by aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Hearing is adjourned, and we are adjourned for the day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.